Hello crafty friends, thank you for joining me today. This is day 3 of my 2018 12 Days of Christmas series, and today I'm going to be stamping using some products from the ton. I've got the Holiday Bows stamp set, and I've had this I think since it first came out, and this is me actually just getting around to using it. It was one of those stamp sets I just had to have. It gives absolutely beautiful, realistic looking kind of bows, like packaging bows, when you layer up these stamps. And I've just never got around to using it. So I'm going to take you through it today and kind of how we layer these pieces together and how we can get these 4 different size bows. So that guide that I have just off to the side comes with the packaging, and I'm just going to be using 2 colours of Simon Says Stamp ink, and I'm first priming my stamp, so I'm inking it up and then just cleaning it off, and then I'll ink it up again and stamp it down. I don't always do this, but because this is quite a solid stamp, I wanted to make sure I got a good impression. Unfortunately, my stamp chamois was a little bit too wet, so it left some moisture on the stamp and I didn't get a great impression that first time, but I went ahead and stamped again and it looks just great. So I am using some dye inks, and these will kind of soak into the paper and smooth and even out as everything dries. So here I'm just taking a pencil and marking that little red section on the layering guide, and then I've mounted up this piece. Now I'm going to refer to this as the wolf. I see some ears, an eye, kind of a snout, and then a mouth, and then the neck. Now that might be a little bit crazy to you, but every time I look at this layering piece, that kind of wolf face kind of jumps out at me, and that's what I'm going to be using to kind of indicate how I layer this up. You could just look at it as the side that doesn't have any points, so there are kind of star points on every side and then there's like a flat area. Anyway, as long as you have it in this orientation, and then there's a little red mark just in that bottom corner, and I've just traced that onto my stamp. You want to make sure that when you use these, you layer up your wolf face. So the bottom corner where that little red line is matches up with that bottom point of this bow. So you can make sure you have your base layer stamp the right way round by making sure that that little flag that we outlined is pointing kind of down towards the bottom right hand corner of your cardstock, and then your wolf face will kind of be looking out towards the left. And you just want to make sure you line up those 2 bottom points where you've got that kind of triangle piece. And then as soon as I've stamped it down, I love how this looks. The wolf face kind of instantly disappears for me, and all I can see is this beautiful kind of, it just looks shiny. I haven't used any kind of metallic inks or anything, but because we've got the shadow and the highlight, I think it just looks really beautiful, and you've got this lovely kind of shiny bow for your packaging, or for your card, I guess. So I've just sped you up here, and I went ahead and stamped down each of the 4 sizes. Each of the images are exactly the same, they're just smaller. So your layering is exactly the same, so once you've mastered it for one, you've got it for all of them, and it's really quick and easy to just go ahead and stamp a whole bunch of these. So I did go ahead and fussy cut these. I'm not entirely sure if there are coordinating dies available for this set. There may be, and I'll certainly take a look, and if I find them, I can link them in the description below. But I just went ahead and fussy cut these, and it didn't take too long at all. So I'm going to set those to one side, and here I have a card base, and I've just masked off the top section, and I'm layering down another product from the ton. This is the, I always struggle with saying this, I think I'm going to mispronounce it. This is the Haute Stripes, so you've got like Haute Couture, Haute Cuisine. This is your Haute Stripes, and it's from a beautiful collection of stamps that the ton has. This one's a really great background stamp, and it just gives some solid stripes across your cardstock, and you'll see it in just a moment here. So I've prepped the card with some anti-static powder because I'm going to be doing some heat embossing, and I just want to remove any kind of static cling or oils where my embossing powder might stick where I don't want it to. And then I'm using my Versamark ink pad just to go ahead and generously ink up this background. And then I'm going to do the old kind of sleeve or cloth trick. Whenever you're kind of rubbing all over a background stamp within the Misti, it's so much easier just to grab your sleeve or grab a cloth and just have that like smoothness so you can really glide and apply pressure. I'm going to go ahead and stamp twice, partly because I can, because it's in my Misti, so I'm going to take advantage of that property of me being able to stamp multiple times in the exact same location, and partly because it's a really bold stamp and I want to make sure I get nice coverage. Here I've got my favourite golden embossing powder. This is Golden Crown by Love from Lizzie, and I've just poured the entire tub out. I will go ahead and scoop up what's left and put it back into the jar, so none of that goes to waste. And then I just missed a little bit along that top edge, and you'll see here when I heat emboss it, I actually had missed a little bit with my stamping, but no problem, I will show you how I correct that. So I let my heat tool get really good and hot, and then just brought it over to the cardstock, and how stunning is the shine from this embossing powder. I really, really love this. I have quite a few different golds, but I found myself keep coming back to this one, and I think this navy and gold combination is so beautiful. So you can see there along that top edge where I had my masking paper in the Misti, or my masking tape. I used Heffy tape. I mustn't have put it on there very straight because I've got a little line at the top where I would like there to be embossing powder. So I just grabbed a Ranger Emboss It pen, and this has got a clear sticky ink that is similar to what's used in the Ranger embossing powders, and it will just stay wet long enough for you to apply embossing powder over the top, go ahead and melt it and just make that mistake completely disappear. If you have really beautiful handwriting, you're great at brush lettering or doodling, you can certainly do your own custom designs to heat emboss, and I think that looks beautiful. For me, I tend to use it just when I mess up and I want to cover up a mistake that I've made. So I have a sentiment here from the Clearly Besotted Brushed Greetings sentiment. Brushed Greetings stamp set. It's a sentiment stamp set and it has some beautiful sentiments in there, and I'm just going to use this Merry Christmas. And then I'm layering my holiday bows all around. I just wanted to cluster these all over the card and really kind of build that up. So I wasn't too sure when I was putting this together whether or not I actually should have stamped on some soft navy cardstock and maybe gone with a darker base. So I've got the coordinating soft navy ink and soft navy card base, but I wasn't too sure if perhaps I should have stamped onto a navy cardstock rather than having those white spaces be truly white. But then once I put all of the bows together, I kind of felt like it actually looked really great with the white, but you could certainly experiment with stamping on some coloured cardstock if you prefer. So I layered all of the bows. Some of them I stuck flat to the card, some I used some foam squares, some scrapbook adhesive foam squares, and then I just went ahead and stamped multiple times in my Misti to get some really great dark black ink on the sentiment. Because I was stamping over the top of some embossing powder, I did make sure to use an ink that would be compatible with that. And I actually used some Stays On ink to make sure that it would stay on that slick surface where I've got that embossing powder. So that is today's card finished. I hope you've enjoyed. If you have this stamp set and it's been feeling a little unloved recently, I hope you're feeling inspired to pull it out and start creating. I'll have links to everything in the description below if you want to check out any of these products. I try to make sure to link to a US supplier and a UK supplier where possible, so hopefully that will help you out wherever you're based. On screen right now there are a couple more videos that I think you might enjoy, and if you haven't already subscribed, I'd love to have you as part of the family. You can go ahead and click on that logo to subscribe. That's all from me today. I hope to see you again soon. Bye for now.